Hi everyone. So my last blog post was blog post 4, and this is 4B. Again, really apologize that these are both out of order. They should be above assignment number 9. So sorry, these are the only two that'll be out of order in the whole string of blog posts. But last week we talked, or last blog post, I talked about the top 5 predictions from the PowerPoint presentation that Tal gave us in class. And now I just want to talk about the top 5 predictions that I've researched on the internet. So I'll just jump right into it. The first one is no one will need more than 637 gigabytes of memory for a personal computer. 640 gigabytes ought to be enough for anyone. That's Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft. And so now Bill is obviously the founder of a company that sells computers to over 10% of the world. And it seems like such a ridiculous claim because so many of our smartphones have more memory than that. And computers have an extremely large amount of memory at this point. And so to say that that amount was enough for a personal computer is actually ridiculous and seems really outdated. So the second quote we have here is, there's no chance that the iPhone is going to get any significant market share. And that's Steve Ballmer, Microsoft CEO. So again, really ridiculous quote from Microsoft CEO. It seems kind of competitive, but obviously extremely false because the iPhone now has more market share than any other smartphone, and it's massively successful and popular. And it's developed such a cult following that it holds close to 50% market share, with 14% worldwide, which is quite an astonishing figure there. The third quote I have is, there is no reason for any individual to have a computer in his home. Ken Olsen, founder of Digital Equipment Corporation. So kind of similar to the one that we gave in class, but we absolutely failed to predict what progress and applications would happen with the personal computer for kind of business, communication, and entertainment. I guess he kind of envisioned these big, large, bulky computers in personal homes, but he should have been able to predict that technology was going to be able to shrink chips and shrink boards, so that they become a more reasonable size to fit into personal homes, and they become more accessible eventually. Next quote, within the next 2 decades, automobiles will be made with folding wings. Eddie Rickenbacker, a pilot. So unlike the other quotes I've included, this seems like a ridiculous overstatement. Technology has not exactly advanced this far. I think this was said in the 1920s, so obviously, still years after the 2 decades following that, it's still not happened that automobiles are made with folding wings. So the technology doesn't really exist right now. I don't know whether it's in the works or whether it's being developed, but even when it is, regulations, laws, all these things must be created following that. So I think it's still going to be a while, and so that's why I think that prediction was a little bit of an overstatement. And the last one we'll talk about today is, there is practically no chance communication space satellites will be used to better telephone, telegraph, television, or radio service inside the United States. And so that was T. Craven, FCC Commissioner. And this prediction is pretty false, actually extremely false. It seems to actually directly contradict what space satellites are actually used for and what they're actually capable of doing. So you look at GPS, helps people communicate directions and maps to such a large amount of people. And really these satellites really do help with the advancement of telephone, telegraph, television, radio service in the U.S. So always remember that technology is rapidly changing, and if you are in a position of high prestige or high exposure to the public, always be careful about what you're saying, because it could come back. Your quote could come back to bite you if it seems really ridiculous or false after technology progresses after a while. But thanks so much for listening to this post. Looking forward to reading your comments.